Hi, it's me. It's Laura. I've been gone for months. Um, do you ever just like tank your own mental health and then get diagnosed with an autoimmune disease and then just kind of like don't do anything for 3 or 4 months? Because that's me. I started messing with my anxiety and depression meds. Thank you, Stormy. That was really helpful. In November. And I finally evened that out, but that was a long process. And in the midst of all that, I realized that I probably have anemia. I say diagnosed. I'm actually getting lab work done next week, so I don't have an official diagnosis yet, but the running theory is anemia. So I'm exhausted all the time. So it's been chaos, and I have actually been reading a ton. This is probably my best reading year to date so far. The downside is I've been doing literally nothing else. I did not have the energy to record anything. I didn't have the energy to like leave my house. It's been rough, but the sun's back out and my mental health is improved and my cats are about to fight. Okay. Anyway, so what am I doing here today? Am I updating you on what I've read, what I've purchased? No, I do think I want to do a book haul though, because I've been doing a lot of that, which is also not great, but that's okay. Things are improving, things are looking up. So we're gonna do a long reading vlog that's going to span 6 books. And if you saw the thumbnail, you might be thinking, what do you mean 6? There are 7 books in this series. I've already read Throne of Glass before I did this, before I had this idea. But see, here's the thing. I've already read Throne of Glass before I read it this week. I read it back in like 2014, 2015, and I hated it. We're gonna make this a spoiler vlog. The series has been out for a long enough time and it's a popular series. I'm going full spoilers because I just kind of want to talk about it. So the reason I hated it, so when I first read it, I thought it was just kind of like bleh. I didn't really care about it. I had no incentive to keep reading the series, and I didn't know about the hype at the time, and it may not have been huge at that time, as I think only a couple books were out. But I was like, it's just kind of boring. You've told me over and over and over and over again that Selena, that she's this great assassin, and I did not feel like I saw enough proof of that. She felt very gullible. Maybe not gullible, that may not be the right word. But she made stupid decisions in a way that someone who is like well known for being an assassin, which is notoriously something in the shadows, I just feel like she wouldn't make those decisions. And I don't know, I didn't have fun with it. I didn't like it. And then as the series grew in popularity, I grew to be a hater for no real reason. I didn't really enjoy the book, and then it got popular and I was like, well, I'm gonna hate this. And so that was my personality for a while. I just hated on it because of who I am. And so then it turned into like, I went from being mediocre to just loathing its existence. And then everyone kept telling me to read it. And I was like, no, I hate it. Stop telling me. Like, we just have to get through like 3 books and then it's really good. And I'm like, I hate that. And I do. I hate that argument when people are like, oh, just read 600 to 800 pages and then the series is really good. No, I'm not gonna do that. Your goal with book 1, with chapter 1, like your goal is to suck me in with the intro. And if you don't do that, you failed. So then I grew to hate it because of that. Well, anyway, fast forward to now. Larry did a whole spoiler vlog for ACOTAR, and I was just like, this is so fun. Like, her reactions were everything. Like, I wanted that. I wanted to feel that. So I was like, you know what? Everyone keeps telling me to read ACOTAR. Larry's having the best time, even though she and I don't have like really similar book tastes. So like, that really shouldn't be its own recommendation. Like, she's fantastic, but like, we don't have similar taste. Whatever. So I was like, okay. I just went out, bought the whole series, binged it in like 2 or 3 weeks. Fell in love with it. It was so fun. And like, I won't say it's good writing necessarily, but it was fun. It was entertaining. It was engaging. I had a fantastic time, and I will probably continue to reread it. I'm not going to sit there and say it's the best book I've ever written, because I didn't write it. Why did I say that? I won't say it's the best book I've ever read, but it was so much fun. So then I was like, you know what? That left me with a book hangover. I had a good time. We are going to read Throne of Glass again. And we're going to read the series. So I went to Target and I bought Throne of Glass. Throne of Glass. Hi, kitty. And I just finished it yesterday and I had fun. I mean, the things that I didn't like about it were still there. Like, she's still not necessarily the best assassin. She still made questionable decisions. It was still kind of average, but I had fun. And that's all I want. I want to have fun. So I got Crown of Midnight and we're going to keep this train going and I'm going to read the whole series and then maybe Crescent City. Who knows? But because the series has been out for so long and I was a hater for so long, I do know some things. Not really. I think I know that Celaena has like 87 different names. Because she's Selena or Selena, whatever. And then she gets called something else, which I'll never find. Alentia? She's called that. I feel like Kale or Dorian called her something. Oh, Lillian. So there's already 3 names, right? But then everyone's like, who's this Aelin character? And I'm pretty sure I looked it up at some point because I was like, I don't care. And it didn't really stick with me until now that I'm actually trying to read it again. And I feel like she is also Aelin. So if that's like a huge reveal, which I'm sure it is, whoever Aelin is. If it is Selena, I do already know that spoiler. If it's not Selena, then it will be a surprise to me. I think those are the only things I know. I knew it was fairy going into it. A, because I'd read it before. And B, because it's 2024. I feel like everyone kind of knows that it's that now. I will say I definitely don't like this as much as ACOTAR. I thought ACOTAR was way more fun. Although A Court of Silver Flames maybe could have toned down the spice like a smidge. Like, I know it's a romantasy and I know that was like the point of it, but it was like so much. I'm not against it. It just wasn't what I was personally reading it for. So I was like, there's a lot. So, given that this is the whole series YA? I know this one is. I know there's less smut, if any at all, in this series, so that will probably work better for me. And I don't know, I'm excited to see where it goes. And yeah, so I'm just gonna kind of, this is like the world's longest intro. I'm just rambling because I haven't done this in like 4 months. I filmed something at the end of the year and then I never edited it. And it wasn't good, which is no shock because I know emotional energy. And then I started lacking physical energy because of said anemia. So now that all of those things are slowly starting to return, I'm going to start trying to do this again. Although also, on top of everything else, I lost access to my Adobe Premiere. So I have to find plan B and how I'm gonna edit this. But that is future Laura's problem. And if you're watching this, she figured it out. Good for her. Okay, yeah, so I'm gonna go get my shake from Arby's because it is that time of year when Arby's has the superior mint shake. Because if you think the Shamrock shake is the better mint shake, you are wrong. Arby's is superior because it tastes like an Andes mint. And bonus points, their ice cream machine doesn't fail nearly as much as McDonald's. You're welcome. Okay, I will check in with you guys when I have something to say about Crown of Midnight. Hello. I don't know why I'm greeting you. So I am, how many pages? Well, I'm 144 pages, but I'm on chapter 18. So that far? Not super far, like maybe 25%. Loving this so much more than Throne of Glass. Which isn't to say that I hated Throne of Glass. It was just fine. Like, I've heard people say that Sarah J. Maas's first book is The Price of Admission. Although I really did love ACOTAR. I love this a lot more than Throne of Glass. So that's really good. And I also realized I forgot to mention when I was talking earlier that I'm reading this, I was gonna say publication order, but I think I want to do Assassin's Blade after Heir of Fire, and I think it's technically third in publication. Does this one have the list? Oh, I just saw it. Okay, well, they put Assassin's Blade first in this, so obviously I didn't read it first, but I saw some TikTok that was like, when to read Assassin's Blade, and they said if you want it to make you cry, read it after Heir of Fire. So that's what I'm going for. I don't know if it'll make me cry, but that's fine. I just kind of want the emotional impact, you know? So that was the end of that sentence. But with Crown of Midnight, Dorian has magic? What? It's not like confirmed, but he has experienced a kind of like what I'm gonna call an ice power while he was sleeping. And then Nehema, is that her name? Yeah, I think it's Nehema, implied that he has magic, and when he's like ready to accept it, she's gonna help him. And then he just punched a wall and like caused a ton of damage, which shouldn't have been possible. So I'm super curious where that's gonna go. It is super windy. Sorry in advance if my headphones pick that up. I can't tell. So I'm really interested in that. Hi, baby girl. My cats are mad they can't come outside.
I love you.
So then there's also the whole thing of Aelin, Princess Aelin. That's what I'm calling her. And okay, so Feyre, wow, no, Celaena made mention earlier in this book about no one like knowing her real name or something to that effect, where it's confirming what I think I already know, which is that she is Princess Aelin. So she makes that comment to herself, and then later on Archer is talking about how Princess Aelin is presumed to be creating like the rebel forces, and they want to get her back on the throne, but she's like this missing princess. So I do think I would have put that together, that is who she is, unless I'm totally wrong, in which case I'll still be surprised. But so I'm not super mad that I know that spoiler, because I think I would have already made that assumption, specifically because spoilers for the Lunar Chronicles, it's a similar plot line there. There is a missing princess, and it's of course our main character, and that was very clearly spelled out to me. I don't know, and granted, in the Lunar Chronicles, I don't know how much of a spoiler that was meant to be. Like, I don't know that you were really meant to be surprised by that, but it felt similarly foreshadowed in here that Princess Aelin is also going to be Celaena. So I'm not super upset that I know that spoiler, because that's the only thing I know. And I'm excited, and I'm loving this. And it's a little bit slower paced than I was anticipating with how fast I read ACOTAR, but I do think that some of that is just because, baby girl, I'm sorry, you can't come outside. I doubt you can hear her, but she's just crying at me. But I think it's because this is fantasy with romance, and ACOTAR is romance with fantasy, and the romance just inherently reads faster. There's a lot more characters I have to remember, and they all have names I can't pronounce. Like, I'm sorry, you can never convince me that this man's name is Kale. I don't care. That's not Kale. That's Cole or Chol or Chale. I don't know. It's not Kale. So that's a problem for me. And then Celaena having like 87 different names isn't helping. And Dorian I can pronounce, so that's helpful. But my friend saw that I was reading this when she came over this weekend, and she was like, I thought you hated Sarah J. Maas. And I was like, I did. I was a certified hater until I decided to let joy into my life. And she's read it because her daughter's read it. And she told me there are some witches in this series that are like the best characters. I've already forgotten what she called them. It was like the witches of something, or the something witches. I don't remember. But she said they're the best. So I'm excited to figure out what that is. No clue when they're going to show up. But I'm just like so glad that I gave myself the chance to experience joy and to read this series, because being a hater wasn't fun. I was just like, I don't like Sarah J. Maas. Like, who was I? Who was that girl? We don't know her. I'm sorry. Nahima's dead? Because what? Ow, jeez, that hurt. I kind of assumed this would be more like ACOTAR, where like no one was gonna die. Oh god. That is not stable. Can you be stable? Thank you. But I was already like debating if I wanted to stop and make a comment just about Selena coming in like killing everyone because it kidnapped Kale, and also how easy Kale was to kidnap. Like, at least this finally showed me that Selena is a good assassin. But why is everyone so bad at their jobs? Like, Kale should not have been that easy to kidnap. But like, that whole scene was a whirlwind. To find out that Nahima was working with Archer, and like that was like a whole thing. And then I'm assuming the king had her killed. I don't know. She was supposed to like be questioned by the king, and then Archer was like, oh, my people are gonna be too late, like this is all fucked. And then Selena runs back to the castle and she finds Nahima and all of her guards dead, which is so much. And Selena still hasn't figured out like weird marks yet. Is that how you say that? So there's like a lot that Nahima could have taught her that she can't now. So that's like a whole thing. And then she's dead. And like, was it the king or was it the mysterious, elusive threat on Nahima's life? I don't know. And I hate it because I really liked her character. And she was like minor enough that like, I guess she's an easy one to kill. Like, you know, she's not one of the main characters. But then there was that chapter, like 25 maybe? Yeah, chapter 25, that's just half a page. Like, that's the whole chapter, where the princess is talking to the queen. And to me, I took that as Nahima talking to Elena. Nope. Yeah, that's that. Except it was right after Nahima and Selena had a fight. And the queen was saying one of them has to give, which kind of makes me think it was about Selena and Nahima, but I don't think it was. I think Nahima's been talking to Elena. But now I may never know, because Elena is not talking to Selena. So many Anas. Anyway, I'm just about halfway now, because now we're at the Queen's Arrow, and I don't know if I'll finish this today. I kind of need to, because I have to, at some point in the next 9 days, read all of Demon Copperhead, and I haven't even started it. That's a whole thing. That was a book club pick. And I mean, I'm curious about it, but like, I want to read this. Okay. I'm gonna go back to this now. Did Dorian just use his powers in front of a group of people? What is going on? Oh god. This is such a weird angle. So I haven't talked about Keltane yet, and I don't know what I think about her. Like, I feel bad for her, even though she drugged Selena, and that was pretty bad. But she's in the dungeon, and the king and the duke, the creepy guy, have been doing something to her. And it kind of sounds like they don't have fae magic, but they have some kind of power. And, you know, it's been giving her all these headaches, right? And so she's suffering a horrible fate in these dungeons, and now she's being sold off to the duke person as like, you can either die in the dungeon or you can be his wife, which is a horrible fate. Like, That was awful. And I don't think she's left yet. I think she's still down there, but that's happening. But Dorian's cousin, Roland, has now been getting headaches too. They're doing something to him too, aren't they? Aren't they? Oh. I might have to finish this tonight. That was not my plan, but I think I have to. So, Selena and Dorian were just in the dungeon and they got attacked by that creature and it had a human heart. What? What is the king doing? And I don't think it could have been Keltane or the cousin whose name Roland. It can't be them because it definitely sounds like that guy, creature, humanoid thing, had been down there for a long time. And because the king has a weird key, so he's definitely capable of doing something like this. I would assume. I don't know what those do, but that makes sense to me. So was that experiment like phase 1 of whatever they're doing to Keltane and Roland? Why can I not remember that name? I don't know. It's wild. I have like 60 pages left, so we're gonna go ahead and finish this right now. Oh my god. I finished. And I knew she was Aelin. So I'm also super glad that came up in this book. So like the last 5, yeah, all surprises. But like she's definitely Fae, which I kind of assumed, but I didn't know. And Archer had Nahima killed. Did not see that coming. And now she's going to that other place. You know, that place. She's going to Wendlyn to kill the king. So things are going great. And now I have to actually decide, do I go to Heir of Fire or Assassin's Blade? I guess technically I have to go to Demon Copperhead. Stupid. I'm actually excited to read that, but I'm just like so invested in this. But I think I'm gonna do Heir of Fire and then Assassin's Blade. This is so fun. I don't know what I was thinking that I didn't like this before, because this was fantastic. It was a bit of a slow start for me, but like, I mean, everyone, I guess they say about ACOTAR. I don't know if they say about Sarah J. Maas or just ACOTAR, but like the last 100 pages are always like where it all goes down. Whew, all right, but now I don't know what time it is, so I have to go make dinner and like be an adult for a little while. And then I will see you the next time I start a book. So I just started Heir of Fire, like last night, this morning, same difference. And it just occurred to me, is it called Heir of Fire because we just found out that Selena is Aelin, and thus she's the heir to her throne? I forget where she's from. Terrasen? That's what I want to say. And it doesn't matter, because I don't think I ever figured out what Crown of Midnight really meant. So should I have figured that out? I am so bad at deciphering titles. But yeah, I was just like, oh, she's an heir. I don't know. I don't really know what the point of this clip was. I just had to say it. There's a kitty in my lap. Oh, I can't. There she is. Hi. She's like, please don't disturb me. Okay. I have nothing else to say. I've only read like 2 chapters. It just occurred to me though. So it's a very rainy day and I am sitting here all cozy reading without the light on because that one has like, I need a new light bulb. That's not the point. The point is I am reading Heir of Fire, and I love it. But something I can't get over that this book just reminded me of is the way that people get bloody noses and don't do anything about them. Like, okay, so Selena is in like the cave with the what is it? The white. That's how I say it. Wight. And she can't see anything, and then all of a sudden she gets a bloody nose. And her reaction is like, oh, bloody nose. And then she moves on, talking about smells and things and all this stuff going on. Okay, so she's in a cave and she doesn't live in the modern world. She doesn't necessarily have a bunch of tools at her disposal to deal with said bloody nose, but like then that just means she's got blood pouring into her mouth, like best case scenario. And I can say this as someone who gets bloody noses frequently in the winter because dry air, I guess, and jeans. My mom got her nose like cauterized because she got bloody noses all the time. And I'm starting to think I'm going to have to do that too. But like literally in the winter, I can barely blow my nose without getting a bloody nose. And it's super annoying and super gross. And periodically, I will get a bloody nose that is prompted by nothing, where you're just sitting there and your nose starts bleeding. Those are pretty rare. But luckily, I can tell before it starts like pouring out of my nose that it's about to happen, and I can stop it from ruining things. But like I can't just have like blood pouring down my nose or down my face. And so now I'm not gonna say I'm taken out of the story. That's too dramatic because it happens in literature all the time. But how are you gonna tell me that she has a bloody nose? And then we're gonna ignore it. She does nothing. She doesn't like tear off a piece of her shirt. She doesn't like hold her shirt to her nose. Just nothing. She's just free bleeding down her face. And for what? What benefit did that have? The magic gave her a bloody nose? Okay, maybe. But we're not going to discuss it. And I don't know what this white thing is about to do because I had to stop and complain about the bloody nose. But like, you just, I won't say bloody noses are debilitating. You can do whatever you want while you have a bloody nose, you know? But that's because I can take tissue and stop it from bleeding all over my face. Or I can take a tampon or a rag, anything. But I can't you don't continue on free bleeding from your nose unless you're in a situation like a fight to the death where like your bloody nose is kind of not your main issue. She's just standing in a dark cave. I do think it was just stated that she tried to run out and like couldn't. I realize this bloody nose is not going to be important. It's the I have a bloody nose. Moving on. Like you don't move on from that. You you stop it from bleeding and then you move on. Anyway, thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Hello. It's been 3 days. 2 days. Is it Wednesday? I never know what day it is anymore. Also, I got this cute little microphone for reasons that I have no answers for. I finished Heir of Fire in one gigantic sitting and I made no updates. And I am unwell. The way that that ended, I basically read the part 2 in almost one sitting. And now I kind of have to remember what it was about to kind of give my thoughts and feelings. Is that what did I do? Okay. Anyway, I all I can think about is the fact that Dorian deserves so much love and grace. And now he's a prisoner and I'm unwell. I forget a lot because of who I am as a person. Like, and the next one I'm reading is Assassin's Blade, so I'm not going to jump right back into what's going on. And I'm not. I'm both excited and terrified to start the tandem read, but like, I can't believe I'm basically halfway through the series because Assassin's Blade being a prequel and or a book of novellas. I don't really know either way. Um, I've read 3 of the main series. I've got 3 of the main series left, and then also Assassin's Blade. So I don't know where this is going to go. I mean, like, obviously, I assume the very end will be Selena taking her throne back, but we've got 3 books to get there. So we have her cousin, who I'm calling Aiden, who has properly teamed up with Kale. So they like know what's going on. They both know everything now. And then Dorian finally learned who Selena is. And he's got like, oh, I just remembered. I was gonna say he had that cute little romance with Sorsha. She got murdered. I'm laughing more than I'm crying, but now it looks like I'm crying about that. There actually was a moment that genuinely brought me to tears. That wasn't Sorsha dying. I don't remember what it was. It might have been with Manon and Abraxas. I'm obsessed with Abraxas, by the way. I would die for him. He is my precious baby angel. I'm unclear how I feel about the witches because I feel like they're currently siding with Hybern. Hybern? What book am I reading? With the king of not Hybern. Although, like, they don't have the full story, so I don't know. I assume that they will not be the bad guys, but they are very interesting. I do agree. My friend who told me she liked the witches, I definitely understand why. They're very entertaining. And they have Abraxas, which is obviously a big deal. I really like that Selena is finally leaning into her power and learning how to be a powerful fae. Something that I don't think I understand. There were some jokes about Aiden marrying Aelin, which is confusing because they are cousins. And I guess technically in ancient times, that wasn't that weird. I don't really get the perception that this takes place in ancient times. I mean, okay, so you can. I haven't read Crescent City. I know that it has some crossover with ACOTAR, but I don't know if it does with Throne of Glass. And like I understand, and but like Crescent City is urban fantasy, so I guess what I'm saying is if they can kind of all intermingle, then this isn't really like ancient times, and therefore you shouldn't be marrying your cousin. Also, you shouldn't be marrying your cousin anyway. And then I kind of was like, is Aelin gonna get with her other cousin, her Fae cousin, who I want to call like Randolph? It's not his name. He was like my memory is awful. Out of sight, out of mind. I don't remember anything. Why can't I remember his name though? Anyway, they made it very clear that they were just friends, but like it's also weird. So, and someone also told me that like ACOTAR is all about the romance, and then in Throne of Glass, it's obviously less focused on the romance, but like everyone kind of hangs out with their romantic partner. Like that was kind of the vibe that I got, that there wasn't a lot of I don't want to say there wasn't a lot of love triangles because like obviously with Dorian and Kale, like that's a love triangle. Although they both seem to accept reality pretty quickly. But so Selena's spending all of her time with her Fae cousin. I'm like, is that her new love interest? Like, is she gonna have a new one like every book, or like what's going on? So like, do I not understand the family trees? Is it just normal to want to marry your cousin? Can't relate. I don't know. Am I just dense? Like, I mean, I kind of assume she'll end up with Kale. That seemed to be the obvious pairing. Secondary to Dorian, that also was a pretty good pairing. Although obviously Dorian is not going to have a good life because he is now a captive of his father, which is alarming and terrifying. I don't know what I want for him because so far we don't have a lot of information about the long term effects of this collar. That reminds me that we really didn't get any updates on Keltane or Dorian's cousin and the Duke and like what they're up to. So I would like more information about that, please. I'm assuming that will come into play in the next book. All that to say, so far, of the 3 I've read, Heir of Fire is my favorite.
They've been progressively more my favorite with every book, Throne of Glass being the bottom, and I think it will stay there. I really don't like that book. Like it's fine and it's the price of entry for the series, but like compared to where the series goes, that book is just not good. And I get it. She wrote it when she was 16. I feel like she almost should have rewritten it by the time it was published. Because she didn't publish it when she was 16, did she? Google's free. I could look that up. Those are my current thoughts and feelings. I'm catching up on some other books. I'm actually debating, and you will already know the answer to this by the time you see this, so I'm thinking out loud, if I'm going to publish this video in two halves, with Assassin's Blade being in this one, because there'll be 3 books per video since I didn't vlog Throne of Glass because I already read it. Or if I'm going to do this all as one. I guess we'll find out together. I'm an idiot. I have started Assassin's Blade. I read the first 2 stories. And also, can we talk about the first 2 stories are 25%? And there's 4 stories. That's wild. I'll get back to that in a second. I was under the impression that I might finish this today. And I might. That's not why I'm stupid. So I was at Target this morning buying things for dinner, and I was like, hey, I should pick up the tandem read while I'm here because I'm really hyped about this tandem read. That is like 50% of why I wanted to read Throne of Glass, because I hated the first book so much the first time I read it. But then once I liked ACOTAR, I was like, okay, this tandem read has me curious. I gotta try it. I gotta figure it out. This whole time, I've been operating under the impression that this series was 7 books. 3, novella 3. I mean, I actually don't know when the novella was printed, but like that was how I was reading in my head. Like the novella was, I'm calling this a novella, Assassin's Blade. I was like, okay, I'm going to read that in the middle. That was kind of like my whole plan. And I got to Target to buy the tandem read. There's 8 books. And I knew Queen of Midnight, is that what it is? I just bought it. Queen of Shadows. So I knew Queen of Shadows existed. And I know Tower of Ash. Is that Kingdom of Ash? I know Kingdom of Ash is the end. And I know that the tandem read is Tower of Dawn plus other book. But I was also pretty sure that it wasn't Queen of Shadows. So why I thought it was 7 books, I will literally never know. But it's 8 books, so I'm not halfway done yet. I will be, I guess, when I finish this one, because then I'll still have 4 books left. So this is still kind of serving its purpose as being the halfway point. It just isn't what I like. The order is just wrong because I'm silly. Anyway, you've all known that I've been stupid this whole time, so that's nothing new. Anyway, so I read these first 2 stories, and I don't have a lot of feelings. I like that Selena is finally proving herself to be the assassin she claimed she was in Throne of Glass. Because, like, even in the past 2 books, the Queen of Crown, the Crown of Midnight, and the Heir of Shadows, no, Heir of Fire. My God, I cannot remember any of these titles. Even through those, like, she hasn't been the assassin, in my opinion, that she claimed she was. But, like, she's been dealing with trauma, so that makes a little bit more sense. This finally proves what she was saying in Throne of Glass, which I love. I do love that she's actually able to, walk the walk. I'm just not a huge novella girl. I'm not a big, like, this story just didn't fit into the universe, so here's an extra tack on. Like, that's just, they're fine. Like, I have nothing against them. I just don't really care about them that much. The idea that I have 2 left is a little a little frustrating, but I do think that if I just decide to read the whole day, because it's only 10:30, I could literally read this all day and be done with it. That would be kind of nice. All I know so far is that she didn't like Sam, and now Sam is, I don't want to say he's missing, but like she hasn't seen him since they freed the slaves and got in trouble with Arabin, and she hasn't seen him since. I'm guessing these last 2 stories we will get some Sam romance, because she's obsessed with the guy, and so far all I know about him is that he's dead and that they didn't like each other. Obviously there's like a hint of like their friendship is starting to blossom in that first story, and I know that they're gonna end up together. I'm guessing that will happen. Like, I feel like that's really what the point of this is, right? Like, their romance. Or am I not supposed to care about Sam? I also kind of think he's still alive, even though I feel like she being Selena has said, I mean, I know she definitely believes Sam is dead, and she I'm of two minds here because like I feel like he's alive because like who is she gonna end? She's had too many potential romances and she's not with any of them and there are 4 books left that it just doesn't feel like like I mean if anyone is gonna be Kale, but that I don't know. The more I think about it, the less I think that's true, which makes me think Sam isn't dead. But then I also think Sam, like she saw Sam's dead body, like in a way that he couldn't still be alive. So I have questions. I'm hoping that either I fall in love with Sam here and that he is still alive, or we just don't care about Sam and he doesn't come back. Like, I don't know. I don't know what I think. Also, of all of these names, there's so many unique, different names, and then Sam. Like be more basic. You didn't even spell it weird like Kale. Yeah, so those are my thoughts and feelings so far. I just have to read The Underworld and The Desert. Oh, there's 3 more stories in The Empire. Okay. Why did I think there's only 4? There's 5. That makes a little bit more sense, but I'm still kind of like 2 stories is 25%. That's still kind of wild, but it's fine. They're just not the same length, but there's 3 left. So I'm going to go read The Assassin in the Desert and see what happens. And someday I might remember something important about this series, such as there being 8 books or the title of literally any of them. This is probably the most unhinged angle. You're sitting on my knee. It's a balancing act. It's not going to go well. But I finished The Assassin in the Desert, and I kind of figured that. Oh, God! Okay. See, I told you it was unhinged. I can't move. Great. Love that. So once Selena found out that there was a traitor. Oh god, Nug, you're gonna ruin this. Okay. There's a cat. Great. Okay. Guest starring Nugget. So anyway, I figured Ansel was the spy. That was the only that made sense. We didn't get enough of the other characters. But what was interesting is I recall in the Heir of Fire that Manon was told that someone with red hair was like taking over that area, the Flatlands. That's what I'm thinking because this book talked about the Flatlands. I don't remember for sure if Manon's story was about the Flatlands. And as you can see, I'm not going to get up. So I'm guessing that that's Ansel. So that's really interesting. And it's been interesting to get like the backstory on that fancy horse that Selena mentioned and Spider Silk. Does it have a fancier name than that? That's what I'm calling it. And Selena buying her apartment. It's like all these little nuggets that I already knew about, but like getting that information. So this has been interesting. This has actually been more fun than I anticipated because the first 2 stories were just kind of meh. Oh god. Okay. This is gonna be fun to deal with later. Can you? Okay. So yes, that was mostly it. I've enjoyed getting these backstories. I don't normally like short stories. Well, that's not even a true statement. I'm mixed on short stories because I usually want more or I want it to be like The Wayward Children, where that's like all there is. The short story collections don't do much for me. But this one is working. And honestly, I felt the same way with A Court of Frost and Starlight. That one. That almost felt necessary before reading A Court of Silver Flame. Like, yes, they do recap it, but I actually feel like that was necessary. Which is why I read it, and it's why I read or am reading Assassin's Blade. Like, I won't skip them when people say that they're part of like the core series. My hair is a mess. But like sometimes people will just release short stories for funsies. Like I love the Lunar Chronicles. It's like one of my comfort reads. I am obsessed with it. But I don't think Stars Above is a necessary read for that series. And same with Wires and Nerves. Like those are all fun additions. But like if you never read them, it would be fine. Like yes, you would miss out on a certain character's wedding. Like I don't want to give too much away because like I would rather people read it. But like the characters and their stories in Wires and Nerves and Stars Above are fun and they build out the world. But like I'll be honest, I've only read those three books once. Although I really do want to read Wires and Nerves again. But like I've reread the Lunar Chronicles many times, but I don't frequently. And even Fairest, although I do think that was a little bit more necessary just because Queen Lavanna is insane and I think getting her story is interesting. It is now noon and I didn't have lunch, but I kind of think I'm just going to keep reading because I want to know where this goes. I'm halfway done with the book. 2 more stories. And that's all. And maybe next time that I check in, I will not be balancing you precariously on my knee while my cat takes a nap and makes this hard. In case you're wondering, that's her ear that's poking up. I do have my bizarre little microphone. This is her ear. Okay, well, can we do cat tax? Hello. I was about to make her look at me. That would be ineffective. I finished the Assassin's Blade and I didn't cry, which is normal, but someone on TikTok specifically said read it after Heir of Fire if you want to cry. So I kind of expected it to be more emotional, and it really wasn't. So I guess Sam is dead. So I guess my 5-second theory that he was alive is wrong because she did see his body. I don't know if I knew that officially, but she saw his body, said it smelled like him. Because I was going to say she didn't see the body. He's definitely alive because, like, that's the rule. Pretty Little Liars taught me one thing. And okay, they actually, in fact, saw a dead body and he was still alive. So it means nothing in that universe. But, that's the thing. If you don't see the dead body, they're not dead. She saw Sam's dead body. He must be dead. That was a surprisingly good short story collection. On rereads, I can't promise I would read it again. Like, is that blasphemous? Like, it's fine. It's not necessary for me. Like, I think if I had read this entire series, I knew enough from what Selena told us, like in her inner monologues, that like none of that was like a huge surprise to me. The only thing I didn't know was about the girl, the red-haired girl from the Red Desert. There's too many names that start with an A, okay? I have a terrible memory to begin with, but like there's too many A's. So she was the only thing where I was genuinely like, hey, that's a character that I'm pretty sure has been referenced before and will likely play into the plot in the future. Admittedly, so will Farron probably, especially now that he seems to be aligned with Arobynn, who clearly doesn't care about Selena. Also, when I finished Heir of Fire, I don't think I talked about the fact that Arobynn has a weird key, or probably has it since Selena woke up from being in the river and didn't have it anymore. So that will be very interesting to see what side of all of this he ends up on, because I know not to trust him, but he still strikes me as being against the king. So many questions there. I'm excited to see where this goes. I do have Queen of Shadows. My God, I will never get that right. But I have some library books and book club books to get through. So you're gonna know the answer to this statement, but me in real time doesn't know if I'm just gonna post this half of the vlog first and then do another vlog for the last 4 books. I'm not sure. But I will say I am so glad I came back to this series. This has been shockingly so much fun. I say shockingly because I really, even though I went into it wanting to enjoy it both times, but especially the second time, I really didn't expect to love it as much as I am. And I definitely like it more than ACOTAR. But ACOTAR was definitely the right place for me to start because it was the easier, faster, lighter read. and I had a lot of fun with it, I don't think I would have gotten through Throne of Glass a second time had I not known. And I think maybe my opinion would then be to say read Assassin's Blade first for new readers, because I, having now read 4 of these books in this series, Throne of Glass is the worst one. The setup, I understand, is necessary, but like, it's just. I was gonna say, like, it could have been like a killing contest, which would have been fun, but it's just like, I don't know. It's just nothing. I don't like it. And when I finish the series, when I ever go back to rereading it, I may feel differently. Like, knowing the whole story, it's definitely the weakest. But that's okay. I like everything else, and I've been having fun. And now I have to go read not Throne of Glass for a little while, which is disappointing. I also can't believe I read that so fast because all these other books have been taking me almost a week to get through. And I don't know why, because I've been enjoying them, but like it's taking me a long time. But Assassin's Blade I read in a day. So that's where I'm at. I guess that's all for now, and I will see you guys later.